The Icy Challenge, Life on the Edge of the World. What if I told you that everything you believe while sitting in warm apartments falls apart at -50? The first time I stepped onto the endless Arctic ice, I realized something clearly. There is no room for weakness here. Imagine a world where the nearest store is thousands of miles away, and the only thing standing between you and starvation is your ability to track an animal. For the Inuit, hunting caribou isn't a sport, it's the pulse of life itself. It's a great fight for survival, where humans and nature engage in an honest but brutally hard dialogue. Do you know what happens to a person in absolute emptiness, where the silence itself feels heavy on your ears? In the tundra, there are no roads, and landmarks vanish into white haze within seconds. Without caribou, life here would stop completely. This animal is everything, from incredibly warm clothing to vital energy. I was amazed at how over centuries the Inuit refined their skills, turning the search for prey into a complex strategic operation. This isn't just hunting, it's an art where every movement has been perfected by generations of ancestors.
I never thought I'd say this, but the Arctic completely rewires your mind. Looking out over these brutal open spaces, I realize the Inuit are some of the greatest strategists in history. They don't try to conquer the elements, they learn to live in sync with their rhythm. To find food where not a single blade of grass grows, you have to learn to see the invisible and hear the winds whisper. We're beginning our journey into the heart of this frozen kingdom to uncover the secrets of people for whom the caribou is a sacred gift. Trust me, what I learned will change how you see human potential.
Caribou, the living gold of the tundra. Did you know caribou are true evolutionary superheroes, able to survive where even steel freezes? These northern reindeer are eternal wanderers, traveling thousands of miles in search of lichen. I was stunned to learn that their hooves change with the seasons, soft and sponge-like in summer for walking across wetlands, then sharp-edged in winter, turning into natural ice axes. Caribou are living all-terrain vehicles, perfectly tuned machines that don't just survive in the Arctic, they dominate it, turning scarce vegetation into pure energy. Want to know the secret behind their incredible resistance to extreme cold? A mystery scientists are still studying? Caribou fur works like a high-tech survival suit. Every single hair is hollow and filled with air. That creates powerful insulation, letting the animal sleep directly on snow without losing precious heat. I often compare their coat to the best thermal underwear on Earth. It's so dense that even hurricane-force winds can't reach the skin. Even their noses are covered in thick fur, warming icy air before it enters the lungs. Nature thought of everything.
For the Inuit, caribou aren't just animals. They're quite literally gold, running across the tundra on 4 legs. Imagine one creature giving you absolutely everything you need. High-calorie meat, tough hides for tents and clothing, sinew for thread, and strong bones for tools. I admire how wisely the Inuit use this resource, leaving behind not a single gram of waste after the hunt. Every part of the carcass becomes something useful. This isn't just about getting food, it's about acquiring the most valuable material in a world with no factories or workshops. Caribou are the true foundation of Arctic civilization.
Ancient instinct versus the white void. How do you find a needle in a haystack? Could you read a book written on snow where the letters disappear within an hour? I was amazed watching an Inuit hunter freeze in place over a barely visible dent in the crusted snow. To me, it was just a shadow. To him, it was a fresh caribou track that had passed not long ago. Hunters read the tundra like an open book, by the direction of pressed grass or a tiny tuft of fur caught on a lonely bush. This isn't just sharp eyesight, it's a true sixth sense, letting them see life where others see only dead emptiness.
Do you know why an experienced hunter never moves with the wind at their back? In the Arctic, that's the most expensive mistake you can make. Caribou have an incredible sense of smell. They can detect a human from miles away. I learned that Inuit hunters make long, complex detours around a herd, always staying downwind. It's like a chess match played on a massive frozen board, where the pieces are wind direction and the folds of the land. One wrong step, one careless breath, and hours of tracking end instantly as the herd vanishes beyond the horizon. Imagine lying completely motionless in the freezing wind for 3 hours, afraid to even breathe too loudly. The history of hunting is, above all, a history of extreme patience. I watched people literally turn into stone, blending into the landscape so they wouldn't spook a cautious animal. There's no rushing here. The Arctic teaches you to wait for a single chance. It's a brutal test of will when the cold cuts straight to the bone, yet you're not allowed to move an inch. When the caribou finally comes close, time seems to stop, and your entire being locks onto one purpose. Stone guardians and traps of the mind. What if I showed you an army that never sleeps, never eats, and has stood in one place for centuries? Walking across the tundra, you can't miss the strange, human-shaped figures made of stone, Inukshuks. These aren't just trail markers, they're key players in one of the Arctic's most brilliant psychological strategies. I was genuinely amazed to realize that these silent figures are part of a genius system of drive hunting. Inuit hunters set them in long lines, creating the illusion of human presence where no one is actually standing. So how do you force an entire herd to run exactly where you want, without fences or nets? Caribou have sharp instincts, but their eyesight often betrays them. From a distance, they can't tell the difference between a pile of stones and a human. To amplify the effect, Inuit hunters attach tufts of caribou fur or feathers to the tops of Inukshuks, which flutter in the wind. To a frightened animal, this looks like a moving hunter. That's how an invisible corridor is created, a living fence that funnels the animals straight into a trap designed by the human mind. That's why ancient hunters were brilliant architects of space, passing this knowledge down by word of mouth. This strategy is a true masterpiece. For decades, Inuit communities built these stone corridors, perfectly knowing the migration routes of caribou. Once a herd enters this psychological maze, it gets trapped between rows of stones and a cliff or a lake, where the main hunters are already waiting. I'm in awe of how, using nothing but stones and an understanding of animal fear, people turned the open tundra into a controlled arena. This is intellect triumphing over instinct.
Weapons and skill, the evolution of survival. Can you guess how long it took to create the perfect weapon from materials literally lying underfoot? I held a traditional Inuit bow in my hands, and it's a true piece of engineering art. In a land with no trees, hunters learned to build bows from pieces of caribou antler and bone, binding them together with braided caribou sinew. This design is incredibly flexible and doesn't snap in extreme cold.
This weapon doesn't just shoot, it seems to sing in the hands of a master, allowing hunters to take an animal quietly and precisely without frightening the entire herd. This changed the rules forever. The arrival of rifles and snowmobiles reshaped the ancient rhythm of the Arctic. Hunters no longer need to crawl within arm's reach of a caribou, and iron machines can cover distances in hours that once took days. But I noticed something remarkable. Even with a modern rifle in hand, an Inuit hunter is, above all, still a tracker. Technology in these lands is fragile. It can stall or freeze solid, and when that happens, only the knowledge passed down through generations can save you. I discovered this the hard way when my modern GPS simply shut down from the cold. No high-tech device can replace the wisdom of the ancestors. Even the most powerful snowmobile is useless if you can't read the ice or predict where the herd will move tomorrow. A modern hunter is a rare blend of tradition and progress. He may use an optical scope, but his eyes still search for that barely visible shadow on the snow. This kind of skill can't be bought. It can only be earned through endless hours spent in the frozen wilderness. Here's what no one tells you about real Arctic clothing. No modern brand can compete with caribou hide. I saw it for myself. Wearing a parka made from reindeer fur, you can sleep directly on the snow at -50 and feel like you're lying in a warm bed. Inuit craftsmen use the hides to make kamiks, traditional boots that don't just keep you warm, but are completely waterproof. It's astonishing how the skin of a single animal becomes a full protection system, allowing humans to feel at home in the frozen expanse, not like accidental visitors. Did you know there's absolutely nothing extra in a caribou? Literally. I watched thin sinews turn into incredibly strong thread that doesn't rot and only gets tougher with time. Bones become needles and scrapers, while caribou fat turns into precious fuel for lamps, giving light and heat through the long polar nights. This is zero-waste production taken to its absolute limit, perfected over thousands of years of survival. Watching this, I felt deep admiration for the wisdom of a people who learned to value every gift of the land, turning it into a tool for keeping life going. The eternal echo of the tundra. This experience permanently changed how I think about what we call civilization. Standing on the edge of an icy cliff and watching a herd disappear beyond the horizon, I understood something simple and profound. The Inuit are not just hunters, they are guardians of an ancient balance. Their life is a powerful symphony where every sound, every track, and every shift of the wind carries meaning. We often believe technology has conquered nature, but here, in the heart of the Arctic, it becomes clear. The real strength lies in listening to the land and truly respecting those who make survival possible. Are you ready to admit that deep wisdom is often hidden in the harsh simplicity of ancient traditions? The story of caribou hunting reminds us how important it is to stay connected to our roots, even as the world around us changes at incredible speed. The Arctic remains unforgiving, but as long as the echo of caribou hooves carries across the tundra and the voices of people who know the secrets of the ice are heard, this land will continue to live. I hope this journey helped you feel the breath of the North as strongly as I did, and that you'll carry a piece of that warmth with you. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Which fact about Inuit hunting impressed you the most? The clever stone inukshuks or the unique properties of caribou fur? Share it in the comments. Let's talk. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more gripping stories and incredible facts about the most amazing places on our planet. Until next time, in the world of adventure.